Whoa. Hello everyone. Welcome to the Sunday live stream. I hope you guys can hear me okay. Looks like everything's going to plan today. Today's episode brought to you by perhaps Quadratini. No, just kidding. This is a little bit of a snack that I am enjoying right now. So I'm gonna wait for some of you guys to kind of slowly file in here. And I see one person, Study Universe, and Strawberry Ashley, Dragon, Florin. Nice to see everyone for today's live stream. I wanted to kind of talk about finding the time to code, especially in our busy everyday lives, right? We always have something else to do, especially with the TV, computers, video games, and then other things like homework, school, university, college. All of these things take away from the amount of time that we have to actually sit down and program and learn about new languages, new constructs, algorithms, and just practicing coding in general. So that's what we want to talk about for today's video. Hope you guys can take away some useful things from it. And we're also just going to hang out and hopefully get to know some of you guys that are new to the channel. I know we've grown quite a bit since the very first live stream. We're very close to 80K for this channel, 80,000 subscribers, which is definitely good. We're getting close to the 100K mark, which is going to be one small milestone for me, one small milestone for me, one big milestone for mankind. So I am gonna go ahead and get into what I have on the simulator, which is what you are seeing. And the thing about the iPhone X simulator is that it's really hard to drag around and to also resize. So in the last video where I talked about auto layout, you kind of found me struggling with getting the view, the simulator view, in the frame of the recording. So I'm getting used to this frame a little bit more. Okay, so hello to everyone: Infinity Ward, Sunny Kumar, Steel Cut Oats, Chirag, just a lot of you guys. Good to see everyone that's new here. I see Johan Albrechtsen again. He's always a welcome developer. He sends a super chat with a little bit of donation every week or every time I go live stream, and it's really helpful to get your support. So okay. So finding the time to code, especially when you are super busy in your regular everyday life. Now, I'm pretty busy, you're pretty busy, and how do we actually go about sitting down and coding? Well, we all have to make some type of sacrifice in our lives, and whether it be giving up video games, television, you have to do it. And you know, I'm not telling you to just do it like kind of go cold turkey with Netflix or Call of Duty or television, but that's kind of what my message is for you guys. You should replace one thing, just one particular activity that you have in your everyday routine, and just replace that with 1 hour of coding. What you'll find is when you start to code, when that 1 hour passes by, you're already in the groove of programming and thinking in that mindset, so it's much easier to continue on coding. So that means coding for that 1 hour will usually turn into coding for like 3 to 4 hours. That's what I typically find to be the case. So I used to watch a bit of Netflix. I wasn't a huge Netflix person. I used to watch House of Cards, some anime series on Netflix. And then some of the movies that they have on are actually pretty good. I used to be a big video game person a long time ago. And so I used to play World of Warcraft. You guys that are a little bit younger, you probably don't remember World of Warcraft so much. But that was a huge thing. I don't think as many people play that game anymore. So that kind of shows how old I am. I remember the days when, well, MMOs, is that what they're called these days? massive multiplayer online role-playing game, MMORPGs. Yeah, WoW was the shit back in the day. I used to raid when I got to level 60 as a mage, a druid, and then when the expansions came out, I got to level 70, and then I think the highest level I got to was like level 75 when the last expansion came out. And when I go on YouTube to watch some of those video games, the replays when they actually capture their own playing, the game has changed so much. Like the graphics have gotten so much better. And way back in the day, the servers that you logged into for World of Warcraft were just horrible. Just horrible servers. They're always down, and Blizzard was always trying to bring servers up and then bring more servers up at the same time, but they were all failing at the same time. So it's very hard to play WoW on inconsistent and unreliable servers. Nowadays, everything seems to be working much better. So I also give up watching YouTube videos to code, and that seems to be doing me pretty well. Although I'm always finding myself binging on YouTube videos just constantly. Do you guys also find that to be the case in your lives? Like just stuck watching an endless loop of YouTube videos, and before you know it, 3 or 4 hours have passed by. Which happens to me almost every other day, if not every day. Which is hard to avoid because I'm part of the YouTube life. So, yeah. So Kruta Major says that yes, YouTube eats a lot of my time. Is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? I guess it's mostly due to procrastination, right? Trying to get on task, but it's much easier to just sit there and just click on a video, watch the next video, and then so on and so forth. It's just sometimes we have to exercise a little bit of restraint when it comes to doing things that we know will take like a majority of our time, and it's not really being productive. YouTube is addictive, Sam, and Study Universe says that YouTube wastes a lot of time. Oh, that is, yeah. Yeah, so last night I binged on computer file content. Other times I'm on some random vlogs, yeah. Turn off YouTube autoplay. So that's actually been helpful for me when I go to sleep. So I don't know if some of you guys are experiencing some sleeping problems like I am, but I think due to just being on the computer so many hours, whenever I try to go to sleep, I'm not able to go to sleep without turning on like a YouTube video and then having it kind of put me to sleep. So I have to turn off autoplay on the videos because otherwise my phone's just continuously on. Which means that the battery gets drained, sometimes the data might get drained as well, and then sometimes it wakes me up, so turning it off is good. Yeah, I can never sleep. I think it's going to be a bigger and bigger problem for everyone kind of going forward. Yeah, just because the computer is such a big part of our lives now that every waking hour it seems like we want to consume more content that's online, which is not good for the new generation. So how do we avoid some of the distractions in our lives? And so one good tip is to find a time and location without distractions. It's very difficult to program while friends and family are around. So whenever I go home and visit my sisters, my mom and dad, and then we have the nieces and nephews and all the kids around, that's pretty much an impossible environment to code. So if you're constantly in that environment, you're not gonna make really good progress. So find a nice spot in your house or go to your nearest coffee shop to code. So that's something I always do. You'll be surprised how productive you are in that type of environment with, just strangers, because you're not really talking to anyone unless you find someone interesting at the coffee shop, which does happen from time to time. I bring a nice set of headphones, and sometimes I actually bring my mouse, which is here. So bringing my mouse is really helpful because I do more than just coding. So sometimes I do video editing, and it's really difficult to cut clips and bring them into like Adobe Premiere and cut them, and Photoshop's a lot easier with the mouse. So let me show you what my headset looks like. So lately I've been using these really cheap headphones that I just bought for $5. And I'm not really a big headphone person, even though I have like a couple. I don't like really wearing headphones. So we have Mario Hernandez says to go to a local library to go. That's also a really good tip. Because the library is really quiet, right? You just need a quiet place where you are not allowed to do bad things on your computer, and you're not allowed to just surf any type of website, because that's not exactly the best place to do that type of thing. So going to the library is a really good idea, and the chairs are somewhat comfortable. It's definitely more comfortable than the coffee shops around. So we have Johan Albrechtsen. How much sleep do you recommend to be productive? I sleep anywhere from 8 to 9 hours a day, and actually most of the time I sleep for up to 8 hours, and sometimes it's just 7 hours. So yeah, I have a really difficult time sleeping. That's why I'm always really tired. And I just power through. I don't really drink coffee much anymore. Just find a way to get through your day. I find that if I nap during the afternoons, it's really not a good idea. So yeah, local library just closed. Better if this video is well prepared and made offline. Yeah. I like to just do live streams sometimes because I don't really want to edit a video, which takes a long time. But I also like the live interaction that I have with people. It just makes it a little bit more fun for me, because sometimes if you're not a YouTuber, so I often talk in terms of being a YouTuber full time, and if you haven't been a YouTuber for full time before, you don't understand how lonely and how non-social it becomes. So most of the time you're just sitting here talking in front of a camera by yourself. Having this interaction with people live makes it fun. It's not as tedious and boring, and you're not just talking into the microphone. You're cutting. You're yeah. So I like to do live streams. They're fun for me, and that's another thing about YouTube that's really strange. And I understand that it's a community, and it's a back and forth between the host of the channel and the people that are watching. But when it gets really, maybe frustrating is the word, is when the viewers start demanding things of the host, which is understandable. I like to demand things of the people I watch too. But anyhow, that's getting too much into the YouTube land, YouTube side of things. So let's see, dismiss and remove. So finding a balance. So let's see, coding and programming isn't really just an activity. It's kind of a way of life, right? It's part of what I do every day. So make sure you still have social interactions with other human beings, because you have to find a balance between coding and then doing things that are also going to help you get a job. Successfully landing a job often requires that you have a friend you have a friendly personality that matches the culture of a company. So it's not just about being the best coder. Sometimes the best coder doesn't always land you the right job. And I remember back in the day when I was interviewing candidates at a company, we always liked the person that could develop or that can write the best programs, but it wasn't always the case that we actually hired the person that was the best. Sometimes you can automatically tell that this person is going to be really hard to work with, and no matter how good they are in programming, if they're really difficult to work with, it's just it brings the morale of the team down. It kind of slows things down, and it brings in friction to the team. So it's always helpful to hire someone that's like fun to be around. It doesn't have to be fun to be around, but at least this person has to be nice, and you can't be the total dick. Otherwise, no one's really going to hire you. So make sure you find the balance between programming and doing other things. Don't overdo it by coding every day without participating in other social events, and also make sure you get enough exercise, because it'll hurt you in the long run if you don't find that balance and you don't exercise your body. Sometimes when your body is feeling better, you can actually code better. That's what I've found to be the case for me. So taking breaks is also a good thing. Have you ever got stuck on a problem for many hours, and after you take a break, you just find the solution after you're maybe taking a shower, or maybe eating dinner? So a lot of coding concepts, like new coding concepts like variables, loops, and recursion, classes, object-oriented programming, these concepts, they take time to sink into the brain. So you let your brain get used to thinking using these new constructs that you learn. Not every technique that you just picked up can be applied sort of immediately in your programs. Now, having small breaks in between, like coding sessions, days of coding, can help tremendously. I think that's something that you'll find to be true in your programming career, especially at school. I remember taking my computer science classes, and it was a struggle. Computer science projects are a bit of a struggle. So it was always the case where I was stuck in the computer lab and focusing on one problem, trying to solve it. And it was a pretty difficult problem, right? And just sitting there hammering away at the keyboard and trying like 10, 20, 50 different solutions just never really got me there. And then after a while, you just decide to go home, take a little bit of a break. And even on that bus ride home from the computer lab to my apartment, that bus ride was all it took for me to rethink about the problem and start from the beginning, come up with an easier solution of how to approach the problem. And then that just sort of took me to the finish line. And all it took was for me to just leave the computer lab and get on a bus. So that's the power of just letting your brain settle for a little bit and stop fighting the problem. That's something that I find to be quite unproductive. Yeah. So let's see, dismiss. And I think that's all we have. So some of you guys have asked me for the code for this little program here. It is not perfect. So you see there's a little bit of a white spot on the top there. The way that this top header is made is a little bit trickier than you would expect. You see how it goes underneath the header. Not always the easiest thing to do, but there's pretty much a masking layer at the top that hides this text underneath it. That's why this gradient right here seems like it's fluid and it just goes from the top to the bottom, but there's actually another layer above all of this. That's why it's able to go underneath it like that. And it's being clipped a little bit strange, but that's kind of how it works. Even the scroll bar is being clipped a little bit. It was working a lot better in the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus, But now with the iPhone 10, we have to change our designs up a little bit and make sure that it conforms to the safe areas and all that good jazz. Oh, all right. So I'm going to try to not make this live stream too long. Although I also want to get through everyone's questions for today. Let's see. Where do I want to start? Where do I want to start today? Who wants to try the new super chat, which is here? So I was watching video creators, and someone donated this guy like $300 by mistake, and everyone in the room got really excited because, you know, $300 is a lot for donation. And then they found out like the guy just did it by mistake, and then he eventually like got his money back for the donation, which is kind of funny. Yeah. So yeah, try out the super chat if you want to do so. Okay, what do I want to talk about today? Turn off the simulator. So Jan says that I wish there were more app developers streaming on Twitch. How does anyone know where and if people stream app development? So I consider doing something with Twitch, like live programming, but it's difficult to do live programming, and doing it correctly is hard. So recording something that you've already prepared ahead of time for like 30 minutes is much easier than programming and then seeing who's online, who's chatting. You kind of lose your train of thought, and trying to program that way is difficult. It's very difficult. I've tried to do live programming here on this live stream once, I think about half a year ago. There were just so many distractions with the chat and making sure that the live stream was up, getting Xcode and everything to fit on the screen. That was hard. Hey, Nawaf Alafi, how's it going? So Zane says that how to dynamically size a profile picture. Well, if you follow that auto layout tutorial that I released yesterday, you can just size it using a multiplier. And depending on how large the screen is, you can do it. Do you recommend automatically converting my Swift 3 project to Swift 4? Yeah. The syntax converter is not bad. Sometimes it'll fail on you and give you a bunch of garbage, but it should work for the most part. I do recommend upgrading to Swift as soon as possible. And that's just because Xcode 9 is just easier. It's always easier using Xcode and the latest Swift. I don't really know why that is with Xcode. It's not like that with like IntelliJ or Eclipse. Like getting Xcode to cooperate is always easier if you're on the latest and greatest. Even when you find time to code, what types of things can we code? Like, is there a place to find exercise or questions to complete, etc.? So I plan on releasing a new section or a new segment on this channel and also this website to give you guys challenges on things to work out, and mocks and designs that will help you kind of guide you towards learning more about iOS and UIKit. And then once we get that UIKit section done, we'll move on to things like AV Foundation, AV Kit, and then we'll look at creating other things, right? So yeah, look out for that. You know, stay tuned for new updates on that, and we'll also get perhaps an iPhone app going for this channel. You can watch people code on Reddit. Drinking water live is not nice. What's even worse is if the host kind of dies of dehydration. So I wonder if Hassan's just trolling me. Hassan N is just, he feels like a troll. I always like having trolls around because I find trolls really funny. I don't know why. Well, actually, I do understand why. Because I'm a bit of a troll myself in real life. And the trolls that show up in the YouTube comments, they're just hilarious. Like the things that they say. This is really funny. And whenever I see trolls in like my channel, I just really like I like the things that they come up with that they think are annoying, but to me it's just really funny. And a lot of people like in real life have told me that handling the trolls in the online community is difficult, but I don't find it so difficult. It just doesn't ever get to me. And the reason for me is because I separate the online side of things with my real life. Like you have to treat online as this dangerous world, and you can't really take anyone seriously online. So it's just really funny. Yeah. It doesn't recognize some classes. Hope Firebase won't get me into trouble when I convert to Swift 4. Yep, if you watch that, the Instagram Firebase course, a lot of that code has been updated to Swift 4 already. So there's been very little issues with the update process for me at least. And the people inside of that course had downloaded this project and they should be able to run it inside of their Xcode 9, which is the latest. Xcode 9 was recently updated from GM to release. So anyone out there, if you're still working on GM or a beta, make sure to update your Xcode to the latest and greatest. Yeah. So also, if you want to check out that Instagram course, you can click on the link down below. It's there's a lot of people enrolling every day. So good for me, good for you. I really hope you guys get the most out of that course if possible. Swift or Kotlin? Well, depends on what you want to build for, Android or iOS. I'm building a music player. How can I use the UI slider display, seek, rewind, and forward music? Well, I remember that YouTube tutorial. I had that slider that allowed you to play videos. So make sure to watch that YouTube video, YouTube tutorial on how to play video. And that's how that slider works. It's very straightforward. I'm pretty sure you can get or customize the code that I already showed you to make it work for a audio player as well. Last time I built out an audio player is a very fun application to work on. The hardest part about building a video, audio music apps is that when in the background, there's a couple of things you have to handle, such as the album cover art and then the playback status, which is harder than you would think. And then also trying to get the music to play so that it loops, or it goes from the first song to the next and the next and the next. There's this thing called an AVQ, music cue player or whatever, and you just cue tracks in there, but it's actually kind of hard. So Sam says, I would like to ask Brian to build a Slack channel for us. What an easy place to look for assistance. We'll get that up someday. Someday. Yeah. This today's video is also brought to you by Dasani, the proud sponsor of the Let's Build That App channel. And also some Quadratini snacks. This is actually really good, but it's probably really bad for you. So just for the trolls out there, I will eat I will eat a cracker live. You guys know that there's channels that are dedicated to just listening to people eat. What is that called? Like SM? No, it's not SM. Can't remember what those types of channels are called. Yeah. Do you know what app I am planning on? I have a couple of ideas. But yeah. So Jan Christian says that it's stuck in my teeth while I'm talking. What you don't get to see with prepared YouTube videos are a lot of debugging, solving problems, and looking up new or best techniques. It may give a skewed view of development. I think a lot of new developers would benefit from seeing that experienced developers also need to Google a lot and how they do it. That's a really good comment. So this is all true, all very true. Yeah. So just like any type of media that you consume, there's a lot of preparation that goes into like making this video. You have to do the research, think about the scripting, and then record the actual output, and then you do the post-production, and then you release it. So imagine like playing for the NBA. You don't want to watch the players practice that much. You want to see the real competition. So, and then you see the behind the scenes. It'd be nice to make some behind the scenes on how to prepare these tutorials. But for the most part, the videos that I have, yeah, I don't struggle too much making the content. Like I've done it before, so it's not, well, yeah, there's a lot of preparation that goes before the actual recording. More CoreML videos? Yeah. You know, the Apple developer website has videos that you can watch, right? The Apple team releases CoreML things all the time. Well, not all the time, but during the last WWDC conference. Is that redundant? Worldwide Developer Conference. They have a lot of videos on developers.apple.com. I highly recommend checking that out. So I'd like to know what's the best approach for implementing across multiple devices between MySQL and SQLite. That's a really strange question. Answer: Swift or Kotlin? Swift or Kotlin? That's a strange question. It's like asking if you like chocolate or vanilla. You know, who really cares? Your auto layout is excellent. Is that a question? Auto layout, like all the tutorials that I make for auto layout, it's just barely scratching the surface of what you can do. Every time I make a video, it typically is very basic, and it's just barely what I want to show. The auto layout is so powerful, and once you get into the real difficult layouts, then it becomes really fun. So, and you always have to experiment yourself. Like some viewers of the channel think like the solution that I present on these videos are the final solutions, but it's rarely the case that the things that I have here on the videos are like production ready code. There's always a way to refactor it so that it's better. How do you balance front and back end development? Do you find time to do them concurrently? Yes. So the website that hosts all of the Let's Build That App content, the source code, it's all back end code really. And well, it has React.js at the front end. And the back end code, I really like doing the back end code a lot. So if you like doing it, then it's much easier to like go from, okay, making an iOS app and then going back to the backend code if you like doing it. If you're like working on Java or Node or Rails, PHP, if you hate those languages, it's not really all that fun to go and, you know, do it. So buy the course soon, Crew to Major. Thank you. We're implementing messaging based on Firebase in our app. That's awesome. Very awesome. So, yeah. I would love to know what's the best approach to implementing across sync multiple devices between. What, did I just read this? Just use Firebase, or you have to build your own server. That's pretty much the solution to your answer. Should I consider getting an iOS position first internship, or should I not look at specific platforms for my first internship at least? From my understanding, if you're looking for an internship, you really don't have too many options, right? Unless you're an absolute genius and you can pick and choose. Internships are like, if you enjoy iOS development, you should get an internship doing that. Like, you're not gonna, like, your internship isn't going to be a life-altering, you know, part of your life. All right, so we have, how do you read this? 美梦族. How about you use MapKit? When will show? Perhaps later. How many languages do I know? You know, some. Are you still using LPT components? If so, do you use it with most apps you make? I use the components on production projects, but I just recently updated LPT components to Swift 4 for the people that are still trying to use it. I have full respect to you and appreciate what you are doing on YouTube. Well, that's awesome. Java versus Kotlin, whatever you like better, you know. Whatever you like better. It's very difficult for someone to recommend like a language. It's like, again, it's asking someone if they like chocolate versus vanilla versus, you know, rainbow sherbet ice cream. Like, you'll like what you like. It's hard for someone else to tell you what you like. And that's kind of why I don't really do a lot of, you know, recommendation types of videos. Because having learned so many programming languages in the past, it's like, I know so many languages, so I know all of the differences between them all. And, you know, it's not surprising that some people don't like things like JavaScript or PHP. It's just not for them. I have no memory left to update Xcode 9. I can't wait to upgrade my 2012 MacBook Air to a new MacBook Pro. Yeah, that sounds... Oh. Lack of memory. I run into that pretty much every other month for my MacBook Pro. And this is a 512 gigabyte computer. And because I edit a lot of videos, it caches like all of these large video files. It just takes up a lot of memory, so I just have to clear the cache. Is there a platform for making both Android and iOS apps at once? I suggest you Google this question. You'll find much better answers online than what I can provide for you. Yeah, so these questions like this, whenever I teach iOS development, and when I'm in a actual physical classroom, I get a lot of questions that I don't answer because it's a lot better to tell a student to Google their solutions. And being able to Google things is really important for programming. Like, you don't know how important it is to be a good solution Googler. Do you think anyone should learn HTML, CSS, JavaScript, even if you are not 100% sure about your programming specialization? I get really confused with questions. Yeah, this question really confuses me. Like, what else are you gonna, it doesn't hurt you to learn things, right? So just go ahead and learn things. Yeah, it's really strange. Like, do you just not have enough time in the day to learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript? Like, or just go out and learn it. It only takes like a day to learn, and then you figure out what it does. If you like it, you keep doing it. I guess what's confusing about this question is that it kind of annoys me a little bit, and I'm not picking on this person, but when people are kind of trying to when they treat programming as sort of a chore. To me, programming is not a chore. It's really something I like doing every day. So this question makes it feel like programming is a chore. It's like, if I don't have to learn it, I don't want to learn it. And I don't really like that type of mentality when it comes to learning how to code. What kind of programming skills do you or online courses teach? Well, if you look through all of the course content, you'll find that, just watch the first video. There's always a demo of what the app looks like. So if you want to build out an app that looks like that, then that's what you will learn. Nothing else I can say for that. Is it better to launch an app without more features on an app store and wait and launch when there's a lot? So this is a good question. Is it better to wait or just launch with something really basic? It's always better to just go ahead and launch. Even if you have bugs in your app, just go ahead and launch. There's no excuse for not launching an app, really. Unless the feature isn't complete yet, right? Once you think the feature set is complete, just push it out there. I guess, what do you think about Xamarin? Never done it, so don't have much to say about it. Have you traveled for extended periods of time while working and programming? The longest time I've traveled for while kind of working is traveling to Shanghai for like 10 days and then teaching and then coding and then going to Beijing for a couple of days. I guess it was more like 5 days. And then programming, I guess making videos is what I did. Trying to program while you're in a hotel is not that fun, really. So yes, Scott Chu says it's ASMR. Wafer eating ASMR I would watch. So ASMR is, I don't really know what it stands for, but it's a whole thing. You should look up on YouTube what ASMR is. I didn't know what it was until a friend brought it up to me, and I looked it up, and I thought it was a strange part of the internet that I didn't know existed. But I guess don't be surprised what you find online. What coding languages do I know? They're all really the same. I don't really think about languages. Yeah, I don't know. After a while, all of the coding languages start to become one thing, really, to me. Hassan says that now I understand it is an ad. I really wished Dasani could sponsor these videos. That make my life a lot easier. How do I come up with an app idea? I don't really. I just copy what's on the App Store. when I actually have to come up with an app idea, it takes time. That's why it's much easier to just emulate what's already out there. Have you done WPF development? Yes, I have. There's a video where I talk about my very first online YouTube video about WP development as my first portfolio project. Source code is updated in your Instagram course, so videos are from Swift 3, right? Yeah. So the videos are Swift 3 coded, and then the source code, you can find the Swift 3 version, and then you can find the Swift 4 and Firebase 4 versions as well. And because Swift 3 and Swift 4 is so similar, you'll find that it's still really easy to follow. The changes are not that significant. They're not really significant at all. So live eating ASMR, yes. Someone tell me what ASMR stands for. I'm gonna guess the S stands for sound. Okay, so here's a good question. If I want to learn a new programming concept, should I learn while doing a project based on that concept, or should I try to learn as much about the theory as I can first? So theory to me, everyone's different. To me, theory is really boring. After having graduated from school, I just realized that school wasn't really the right place for me to learn things. I've always been able to learn things just by completing the assignments at school and then doing actual study sessions with the TAs and other students. Like, listening to the professor is totally useless. Like, absolutely useless to listen to the professor, really. So, yeah, I'm more practical, and everyone's different. Again, their mind works in different ways. I'm more of the practical programmer where I have to practice on an actual concept. So that's me. Prato Das, I recommend Google is your best friend. Google what Firebase is able to do, and you'll find a much better answer on Google's Firebase website. There's YouTube music and YouTube gaming. There should be YouTube coding. There definitely should be. However, because coding is a difficult thing to just sit down and get into, it's not all that engaging. It's not all that fun. Does not bring in the sponsorship and advertisement money. So that's why YouTube coding is not a big thing, even though it should be. Are you the best YouTuber? Yeah, absolutely. So the thing about YouTube coding, especially for iOS, is that you don't find a lot of, what should I say? You don't find a lot of good programming, iOS programming channels. So when it gets really difficult to start programming difficult things, you don't find a lot of that. So that's where I'm trying to fill that void. Yeah, so let me just check the stream status here. Okay, so we have 67 of you guys, and we're at the 48-minute mark, so I'm gonna check out of here at an hour. Am I okay? You sound sick and tired. Yep. I don't know what it is, but it's constantly hot and constantly cold where I live, so I'm always getting sick, which is not fun. It's not fun. What is my favorite video? I don't really have a favorite video. They're all just meh to me. Do I use storyboards on my personal projects? Nope. Again, the storyboard versus coding questions. I've worked as a professional programmer before, and everyone that does professional programming work usually programs. It's very typical to just find thousands and thousands of lines of code. So that's just something that you have to get used to. And after your first internship, you just get used to looking at code. That's how it works. Yeah. So I have a question. Why don't I go to Apple events? They cost like thousands of dollars to go to, and you actually have to get an invitation. So I'm still waiting for Apple to invite me one day. Hopefully that happens. Hopefully. How many hours do I code per day? Probably like 7 or 8, I would say. And then recording this stuff actually requires a lot of time too. Cloud functions for Firebase. You're the perfect guy to explain concepts like promises in JavaScript. Yeah, I will try to do some. I plan on releasing some videos on cloud functions with Firebase push notifications for iOS. So whenever that's ready, I'll make sure to push that out. How many hours should I code per day? Whatever you want to do is best for you. I don't know. I'd say at the very minimum, you should learn something new every time you're programming. Otherwise, it's not that fun, and it's kind of not all that productive. Michael, this is a Christian stream. Yeah. Watch your mouth, Michael. What is your favorite programming language? I would say JavaScript is really easy to work with, and JavaScript allows you to build so many things that it's hard not to like it. Even though it's kind of difficult to work with, it's very powerful. So that's why I like it. Programmers live alone. Some do, some don't. I think most programmers have normal functioning families. 13-year-old programmer. All right, awesome. I should do a giveaway. Yeah, maybe for my 100K video, I'll do a giveaway. We'll see. So Cardinal, hey, if you genuinely enjoy coding, not just doing it simply for money or career, you'll find time for it. Very simple. Yeah, I do agree with that. Yeah, if you really like programming, then it becomes a hobby more than a chore, something that you look forward to doing. Like, I really wake up and look forward to what I can build today, tomorrow, and a week from now, so that the viewers that I want to support can have the support that they can get. Do you dream about code? Sometimes I go to sleep and think about, or not sometimes, every day I go to sleep and I think about what I can work on next. So that's how my day is kind of like. I work on a lot of different projects during the day, and I go to sleep and I think about what I can work on next. And I wake up, and then that just keeps repeating itself. It's a good cycle that I have. Do you find time to code with big chunks of time, or do you find it more effectively to code in small chunks of time? What is the average of your time code per day? I find that I guess, how would you quantify big chunks of time? I think you have to sit down for at least a good 2 hours, and that's what I would consider a good amount of time to program for. I guess anything lesser than 2 hours is not enough, because you don't encounter the problems that you have to encounter to expand your programming mind. And anything over 2 hours I feel like it's too much after that. Yeah. Takes coffee break to learn HTML and 3 hours to learn JS. Yeah. Top 3 rappers. I don't really listen to rap music. I think Tupac was probably the biggest rapper that I listened to back then. Yeah. Well, if you don't have time to do web development languages, then focus your time and effort on Python, which is what it seems like you're getting into anyways. You know, Python developers don't always have to do HTML development. Why should I learn to code? Well, if you need a job, if you want a fun career where you're constantly learning things, and it's actually gives you job security if you're a programmer. You can always go from one job to the next. Like, it's very easy to go from one job to another if you're a programmer. Do you make music? Any music app tutorial like Spotify or Apple Play Music in your future? Yeah, I do want to do this, but we'll see. Oh man. Okay. 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 So we're at the 55-minute mark. I think we are nearing the end of today's live stream. Is it okay that I'm trying to build my experience at a young startup? Yeah. All right, so that's all I wanted to kind of talk about for today. And I, found today's live stream to be very fun. Always good to hang out with everyone that's willing to kind of join in and have a friendly chat. And again, the live streams are more about me interacting with the viewers, and they're not so much about preparing the perfect video for everyone to watch. Sometimes it does get a little bit tiring to record videos, and it's very nice to have people to talk to, especially programmers. And I found it very fun today, and hopefully you guys had a good time. How was it as good for you as it was for me? That's the question to answer. How much time on average it takes to be a good Java developer? I don't know, that's a strange question. You can spend all the time in the world, and if you're learning the wrong things, then it's not going to be good. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to check out here, and hopefully you guys enjoy the rest of your day. I will be trying to recover from the flu, or I don't know what the heck I have, but something is definitely bothering me. That's why I'm going to check out here, and see you guys next week. Bye bye, everyone.